Here we go again.
Let's get ready for takeoff!
And we are back on the road to glory. It is officially game week. We got some college football kicking off this weekend. Week 0 is upon us, but before we get into all that fun stuff, we still got to break down the conference of the defending champion, the Big Ten. To do all that, I'm here as usual with my co-host Steph. Stefan, how you doing today, brother? What's your vibes? This is Oregon's conference, mighty Oregon's conference. How you feeling about everything this year, going into it?
I feel like we're gonna have a pretty good season. I mean, another day closer to games being played. I mean, it's almost week 0, man. It's here.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Um, Shout out to everybody watching live on YouTube as well. We appreciate all the love and support. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at the Pigskin Live if you're not yet. Let's get into it, Steph. Let's do it. Let's not waste any more time. First team, I think we start off here with Penn State, team that a lot of folks are having as the favorite for this conference and maybe even the favorite for the Natty up there with Texas. Um, Obviously, the reason for that is just the amount of return and production they're bringing back. Drew Allar, um, some believe could, potentially be the best quarterback in the country by the end of the year. Plays way towards that. I think we saw some glimpses from him last year. Um, Obviously, we still saw some of the inconsistencies in his games, and that he still did have work to do, as he kind of decided not to head out to the NFL draft and stay in college, develop another year under Andy Kotelnicki. And I think that was a good decision, to be honest. I think Drew Allar is an actually talented quarterback. I know some people aren't as high on him, but I like what I've seen from him so far. And I think another year in this system, another offseason, with hopefully some help at wide receiver this year, as that should be an upgraded position. Um, I think it should be great. And then obviously the running back duo, Singleton and Katron Allen, the most proven, probably the best running back duo coming into the year for sure, without a doubt. Both those guys are probably playing in the NFL. Both those guys are probably playing in the NFL right now, but they decided to come back. And then on the defense, we know what to expect from this Penn State defense. Obviously, losing Abdul Carter is a tough loss. Obviously, when you lose a talent like that, but Penn State seems to like churn out players like that all the time on the defensive line, and just all throughout the defense, the linebacker in the secondary. So I'm not really nervous about Penn State's defense. Also, I think they're returning. Yeah, they're returning half the starters from that defense, over half the starters from that defense. So I think it'll be fine. Um, I think just the question with Penn State, and I think this is something that you'll probably get into, Steph, is can they finally get over the hump? Can they win the big game? Can they beat that top 5 team? Because they steamroll everybody else and they look like they're the part. But as we see time and time and again, once they face that upper echelon tier of teams, they struggle. They just seem to be outclassed time and time again. And I don't know. And I'm not going to blame the kids. I'm not going to blame the talent on the roster, because it doesn't matter what kind of roster they've had. Or what players have been on the team, right? The same thing happens. So you kind of look at the head coach and just the organization in general. And is James Franklin capable? You know what I mean? I mean, it seems like Penn State is just a looming giant with the amount of talent and the team that they have this year, the roster they have this year. So it would be a shame for them to waste. I think they're S tier though. All that being said, if it wasn't obvious.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put them in S tier as well. It has been a long time since they've actually won the conference, but they're usually right there. BCS era, 14 playoff era. It's tough because you lose that one game and then it kind of knocks you down. So they've always been right there. They're always going 11-1. Kind of losing to that other good team they play. Um, but last year they did go deep into the playoffs. So I got to keep them in the S tier. I mean, they're probably gonna have another really good season. I mean, my Ducks have to go there and play against them. That's like our biggest regular season game. So that game is going to tell a lot about both teams. And I just had the same question as everybody else. Like, are they going to beat that top team, which this year happens to be Oregon? And if they do, are they going to end up winning the league? And we'll get into our conference picks in a later episode. But yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with the S tier placement for Penn State.
And their schedule, let's see. They get Oregon at home. Uh, Ohio State. They travel to Ohio State, which is going to be tough. And other than that, I think it's a pretty friendly schedule. I mean, at Michigan State, at Rutgers, at Iowa, at UCLA, none of those games really sound any alarms to me. I mean, sure, anything's possible, right? A lot of those teams I named are teams looking to build and would love the opportunity to upset a team like Penn State, but I doubt it. So you really, like you said, you just kind of look at that Oregon game at home and then on the road at Ohio State later on in the year. Let's keep it moving though. Um, Ohio State. I think Ohio State, obviously, last year's team of destiny was able to capture that uh, national championship. This year, I think it's a little bit of a different formula than what they had last year. Obviously, last year they pretty much brought everybody back. They were super talented, they were super experienced, and it made sense that they did what they did. This year, obviously, losing a bunch of that talent. Um, what are they going to do? How are they going to replace that now? When you have a guy like Jeremiah Smith on your roster, you know, at least offensively, where production will come from. That guy is probably the best player in college football. He is a certified freak. He's a great player, and he's not the only one on that offense either. Obviously, we all know about that just wide receiver factory that Ohio State has right now with Brandon Inniss, Carnell Tate being the other two guys, and a bunch of other guys as well in that room. Um, on the defensive end, they have the best offensive player. They might also have the best defensive player, that being Caleb Downs. So I expect more of the same from Ohio State. I think the question mark obviously is quarterback, like a lot of these other top teams here in the country this year. I think that seems to be a big theme. And I think that's going to kind of contribute to how this year plays out and just the openness that we have of college football. Just a lot of these quarterbacks are talented and have high ceilings and maybe have played some, but not a lot of quarterbacks are experienced. And I mean, like, again, we have a few. We have the Drew Allers, we have the Garrett Nussmeyers, we have the Cade Klubniks and the Lenore Sellers, but a lot of these other teams, like we mentioned, Arch Manning, DJ Lagway, and now Julian Sayin, who was named the starting quarterback. There's going to be a lot to be seen, or a lot to be desired from these young quarterbacks, at least. I think Julian Sayin obviously has the same kind of profile as these other guys that we mentioned. I think he was the number 2 quarterback in the country in his class, just behind Lagway. Um, went to Alabama. Obviously, when Nick Saban left, he decided to transfer, head over here to Ohio State, and now won the job. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he does with that offense. But I think Ohio State pretty much status quo, S tier. Pretty easy decision here.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. They returning the two best players in the country. I think Julian Sanders going to be fine at quarterback. They have other good receivers besides Jeremiah Smith. Um,
Their schedule's a
and
little
it's,
tough though, right?
um, let me look, cause this, I mean, they're still going to be right in the mix with the conference championship. I mean, I know they haven't won the conference in a while, but they did just win a national championship, and they have made the playoffs in recent years before that. So You know, they're going to be right there. I mean, they do have Texas week one. That's going to be crazy. But other than that, I mean, the only games that I think they can lose are Texas and Penn State. Of course, there's the Michigan thing, but I really don't think they're losing to Michigan this year, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Michigan a little bit. They're kind of in the same boat as a lot of these other teams. I'm assuming they're going to have a young quarterback. I don't know if they've announced who their starter is going to be, but I thought it was going to be the young bull. I forget his name right now, but
Bryce Underwood.
Bryce Underwood. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see about Michigan because they disappointed me last year a lot. But we'll talk about Michigan when we get there. Um, Next team I want to talk about is your Oregon Ducks. Kind of similar to some of these other teams, like we mentioned. New quarterback coming in what's Buddy's name?
Dante Moore.
Sorry, Dante Moore. Yeah, I was gonna call him Devin Moore for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, um, what are the Ducks looking like this year? How are you feeling about your squad? Um, Talk to us a little bit about them.
I mean, this is another team that I feel like should be right in the mix for the Big Ten championship at the end of the year. I mean, we have a pretty easy schedule. Like I said before, our big game is against Penn State, and other than that, I don't think there's another game we should lose. I think we'll be favored in every game. Of course, every team is capable of having their slip ups, and with a whole bunch of new players, that can happen. But as far as talent, coaching, and how we expect this team to play, I think that we should have like an 11-1 type of season, and if that results in a Big Ten championship berth 2 years in a row, then that's what happens. If it don't, it don't. But again,
Right.
like we should be one of those top teams competing for a Big Ten championship spot. So I have to put us in the S tier, especially since we won the league last year and was in the Pac-12, the last Pac-12 championship the year before that. So that this team is always in the mix. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I think my only questions I would have for you is your secondary. I know you guys lost a lot in the secondary. I know you guys brought in an all Big Ten first team cornerback, right? From was it? I know
the
what school he came
safety.
from.
Well, yeah, yeah, we
Safety.
got the corner, Theron Johnson from Northwestern. He was an all-conference player, and then
And Dylan
another
Thiemann or something like
all
that.
conference player, Dylan Thineman, the safety
Thiemann.
from Purdue. Um, so I'm excited about our secondary. I think our secondary is going to be the strength of our defense. Honestly, even though we have a lot of young talent, but we do have some experience in there as well. Like I said, Dylan Thieneman, he's been playing football for 2 years in college. Theron Johnson's been a 3-year starter at Northwestern. Jaleel Florence is going to be back. Missed all of last year with an injury. So, and he started for us in the past in 2022 and 2023. He's a really good player. Assuming he's healthy and at full strength, he'll be a good player for us. He should be one of the starting guys. I'm looking at Ife Obadegwu, one of the younger guys. He'll be a redshirt freshman this year. He was a highly ranked 4 star, and I'm hearing a lot of good things about him. I think that guy is going to be an amazing player for us. It seems like he's kind of might be skipping ahead of some of the older guys in the room, honestly,
Okay.
even though it's only his second year in college. So um, definitely looking at him to maybe even be starting. And there's other guys like we've had some high ranked 4 star guys, 5 star guys like Peyton Woodyard, um, you know another safety, Kingston Lopez, another safety looking at to be at a contributing role for us. He's legit 6'5". So and I don't think anybody in the DB room is shorter than like 6 foot now. So a lot of the guys that we were playing the last 2 years were 5'9". All that is over. So there might be somebody in the room that's 5'11", but the height and the speed and the athleticism is definitely at a different level than it has been before. It's just a lot of players that aren't proven. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of players that are proven. So, like I said, Jaleel Florence, Dylan Thiemann, Theron Johnson have played a lot of football. So I think there's a good mix of that veteran leadership and the young talent to really mesh together. So I think this secondary is going to surprise some people because nobody's really talking about us, and I think that's a good place to be because I think the country respects us as like a good team, but I don't think they realize our capabilities. So I'm just excited to see it all play out.
for sure. And again, I think a lot relies on the quarterback position and what you're going to get from your young quarterback. I think we've all seen so far from what we have seen from Dante Moore the flashes and how good he can be. So um, definitely looking to see how he takes that next step as the starter and how he performs this year. But I think he'll have weapons on the outside. Makai Hughes is coming back at running back, right? Or coming in at
Yeah,
running
he
back.
was he was a transfer from Tulane, one of the
Yeah,
best
he's a
running backs in
beast.
the country.
He's an animal. Yeah. So having that guy in the backfield is definitely going to help out. And then De'Carrion Moore is coming in. I think you guys brought in Malik Benson, right, from
Yep,
Florida State. So
yep,
yeah, those are. I mean, De'Carrion Moore, he's a true freshman, but he's one of those ones. You know what I mean? Like I think Oregon expects him to probably contribute right away. You know what I mean? Like so.
absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about Michigan now. We kind of teased that a little bit, and Michigan is a weird team, man. They're just a little bit in flux. It kind of feels like they're a team that lost their identity when their coach left, and I mean that's kind of what happens when you have a coaching change, right? You take on a new identity. And I think a lot of people just thought that the handoff from Harbaugh to Sharon Moore was just going to be super seamless because they have worked together for so long, and Sharon Moore has coached under him for so long. But at the end of the day, they're two different people. Being an offensive coordinator and being a head coach are two totally different experiences and two totally different jobs. And I think Michigan has kind of lost some of that edge that they had under Harbaugh, like just especially in the trenches, like on that offensive line, man. It's just been something that we're so used to seeing Michigan always have and just be dominant. And I just don't think they're that right now. I don't think they're bad up front. I think their defensive line maybe took a little bit of a step back. I think like they lost three defensive linemen to the NFL this year, so that's going to be tough to replace. They brought in a couple transfers, which should help out at that spot, but the offensive line, man, I think it's just a little bit of a question mark for me, and just from a Michigan uh, level, you know what I mean? I'm sure it'll be better than uh, UCLA's offensive line, right, or Purdue's offensive line, but from
Hmm.
from for what Michigan's goals are for who they want to be, and especially for the identity of that offense under Sharon Moore, how it's always been. They've just been always a ground and pound team. Like they're just gonna out physical you. They'll run the ball 30 times a game if they have to, and it just doesn't feel like they're capable of that right now. To be honest, now obviously the great equalizer could be this quarterback, um, Underwood, Bryce Underwood, who really knows. They brought over Justice Haynes from Alabama. He's a great running back, so I think that's going to help as well. Um, but yeah, Michigan's a team that I don't know really what to expect from them. I want to take a look at their schedule. Um,
Yeah, I don't really
Max,
know what to expect from them either, honestly.
yeah, I think their defense is going to be solid. Um, but I don't know. Like I said, their D line I think is going to take a bit of a step back. I think they're back, the back of their defense, the secondary, and I feel like their linebacker core should be pretty good. I know they got a lot of experience there, but I don't know. They're at Oklahoma week 2, at Nebraska week 4, so those are two pretty tough road games to start off the year. They get Wisconsin at home. They have to go to USC. They get Washington at home, at Michigan State, and at Maryland. I guess if that you guys count that as a game, that is of noteworthy, and then Ohio State to end the year. So that's a little bit of a tough schedule. At Oklahoma, at Nebraska, at USC, at Michigan State, even if you want to throw it, because that's a big rivalry game. So
Michigan State's gonna be better this year too. So
yeah, so that's 4 tough games right there. 4 tough road games, not including that Ohio State game. So they'd have to be perfect on the road Who knows? A lot of people expect Oklahoma to be better. Nebraska, I've seen people put Nebraska in their playoff predictions. People are expecting Nebraska to be better with Dylan Raiola. USC, they should be better. And you just said Michigan State, another team that are hoping to be better. I don't know if they'll be as good as the other three teams I just named yet, but I think they'll definitely be improved. So I think this is a tough schedule for Michigan. I don't. What did they go last year? 7-5 or something like
Seven and
that.
five, eight
Eight and
and
five
five
with the
with
bowl
the
game.
yeah with the bowl game.
I probably see them around there, maybe 8-4, and they get 9 wins with the bowl game or something like that. But I think this is still a bit of a transitional year, and honestly, I don't know if Sharon Moore is the guy at this point. Like, what is this, year 3,
Year two.
year 2? Okay, so he got his quarterback now. The quarterback's a freshman, so we'll see by next year. I'll give him this year or next year to really turn it around, or we're gonna have
I think
we're
I
gonna have to
think
start putting him on the hot seat.
I think as long as they have solid seasons with Bryce Underwood, they're gonna have to keep him. Um, but this year might be rough. Like I don't expect Michigan to have a 10-win type of season. I don't necessarily think they're gonna make the playoffs. Maybe they'll be one of those teams on the fringe, but I just think it might be rough with a true freshman quarterback. We know the talent, but they might have to go through some growing pains. I mean, is he gonna be just lights out as soon as he gets to college, right out of high school? I mean, we don't even know for sure if he's starting, but I'm guessing that he's gonna be starting week 1. But I mean, who knows? So personally, I'm gonna have to put Michigan in the A tier because they did go 7-5 last year. I mean, they did win the national championship. They did win the Big Ten. What was it, like 5 years in a row?
I think so.
So I mean, like, if they would have went like 9-3 last year, I would still put them in S tier. But I feel like right now you got to put them in A tier because I mean, are they recruiting at the level of Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, even Penn State? Um, like they went, like I said, 7-5. Like Harbaugh, them last few years under Harbaugh, yeah, I would put S tier. Obviously, they're winning the league, but right now I feel like I got to put them in A because they did go 7-5, and with that type of record, that would be like a C tier. But we just know that this is Michigan. They have a chance to come back and be better than what they were. You know, they have a better chance to do that more than most programs. So I kind of gotta at least keep them in the A tier.
Yeah, I like Michigan in the A tier because again, like I said, I think they're still good enough to bully to beat the teams that we'll soon talk about. But I just I think they're clearly underneath the top of this league, which they weren't, and which is a shame. So we'll see though. Let's talk about Illinois. It's a team that me and you I think are a little split on. I'm a little bit high on Illinois this year. I think they're another A tier team. They're bringing back
Oh hell
19.
no!
They're bringing back 19 of their 22 starters from a team that was pretty good last year. Obviously, I think you're a little bit biased because of what Oregon did to them. But like let's be fair. Like let's be real in the situation, and let's look at Illinois from a holistic standpoint. Like they have one of the top quarterbacks coming back in this conference with Luke Altmaier. They have a top 3, maybe I'm stretching it, but definitely a top 5 offensive line coming back um, this year. One of the best secondaries and one of the best linebacker units in the conference as well. I think replacing Pat Bryant and what's the other guy's name? Franklin, something. What was the guy's name?
Yeah, Zachary Franklin.
Zachary Franklin. Um, replacing those two guys is going to be tough. So we're going to have to see one of these young wide receivers or new playmakers step up and actually help out Luke Altmaier. But I think Illinois is just going to look a little bit different this year. I think they're going to be more dominant on the offensive line of scrimmage. They have a stable of running backs where I think each of their running backs could probably be the starting guy or be productive. So they might not be they might not air that bit out like they did last year with all that wide receiver talent that they had. I think they might try to lean on some teams, and I think they should be able to. I think their D line maybe is a bit of a question mark, but I know they like that guy James Thompson. He's a good player, and he should be disruptive. So I don't see why they're not A tier. Again, I think they have a little bit of question marks on who's going to score points for them, uh, but they have a quarterback, and usually good quarterbacks are able to, you know, elevate the guys around them. Just get the ball to whoever's open, and somebody will do something with it. So I don't know. Maybe their schedule is what's holding you back from A tier, but I think they should be on pace to beat majority of these teams, and maybe even have. No, bro, their schedule is. Look at their schedule, dude. At Duke, week 2. At Indiana,
Duke
week
might beat
4.
them.
No, Duke and Indiana. At Duke, at Indiana. That's tough. Those are two tough games. I'm not about to gloss over that, but those are not like they're not going to be double-digit underdogs. They might be favorited. No, they won't be. They'll probably be like a 3-point underdog at Duke, and then at Indiana, they might be favored over Indiana this year. I don't know. Then they get USC at home for homecoming. At Purdue, cupcake. Ohio State at home. So that's the best team they play is Ohio State at home. Obviously, Ohio State should outmatch them, but who knows? Then they go at Washington, probably another tough road game. Rutgers at home, Maryland at home, at Wisconsin, Northwestern at home. So they dodge Oregon, they dodge Penn State, they dodge Michigan. Yeah, they play Ohio State and they have a couple of tough road games, but again, they're returning 19 of 22 starters who've played Big Ten football, who've played in Big Ten road games. They're A tier. They're winning 9, 10 games.
You think they're winning 10 games?
I think they can for sure. Yeah. Again, their only guaranteed
10
loss
games
in
regular
my
season?
mind is Ohio State. They're going to be underdogs for a fact against Ohio State. Other than that, every game is going to be within a touchdown, or they're going to be the favorite.
They
Those
might
road
lose to
games are going to get
Washington.
tricky. Those road games are going to get tricky.
They might
I'll
lose to
give you that.
Washington and USC and Indiana. I really don't think this team is that good, bro. I'm telling you. Like, you could talk about returning starters, but they have to be good players. To me, they lost the main thing that made them good last year, which was
They did
Pat
lose their two
Bryant.
best wide receivers. Yeah.
It was Pat Bryant and Zachary Franklin. Like, those were the guys that were really putting their offense over the
Right.
top. I
But
just don't
again,
see with average. They're gonna have average wide receivers this year. They're not
I
gonna be
think
that good, bro. I'm
I
telling
think
you.
they're gonna, like I said, I think their offense is just gonna look different. I think they're gonna be just as good, just in a different way. They're just gonna run the ball this year.
No,
I
I
do, and
don't see it.
I think the
I
quarterback.
feel like
What do you
they're
think? B
gonna
tier.
lose to USC. I think they're gonna lose to Washington. In my opinion, I can't. First of all, like they had 1-9 win regular season, and then they won the bowl game. I can't put them in A tier without seeing it for at
All
least two
right,
years.
all right. We're gonna come back to this. We're gonna come
We
back to
gonna come
this.
back to it for sure. I'm confident in this take. I really don't see the hype from all the media regarding Illinois and all that. Like
I think they're
I don't
solid.
see it.
I think they're physical. I think they're sound. I think they have a
I
good
think they I
quarterback.
think they're a good football team. They probably
Yeah.
gonna have 8 wins. I can't put you in A tier like with that because to me A tier is like you really could win the conference. Like you might have a chance to sneak into the conference
But
title game.
We put Michigan at A tier. Michigan has no chance to win the conference this year.
But Michigan is more like you kind of gotta respect them though. You gotta respect Michigan because they did win a national championship 2 years ago,
Yeah,
and
that
they
was two
did
years
win the
ago, and
league.
they also went 7-5 last year too.
Yeah, last year, but that's why I put them in A instead of
Look,
S.
Michigan. I'll put it like this: Illinois will have a better season than Michigan.
That's a hot take.
They will.
That's a
They
hot
will.
take.
You heard it here first.
So you think Illinois gonna have a better record than Michigan?
I do. I definitely do. Yeah.
All right, I'm honestly like I'm not even really mad at that take. Like I don't even think that's a super hot take because because Michigan plays better teams than Illinois. I think. I mean they both play Ohio State, but Michigan don't play. They do play Washington. They do play USC too. Nebraska. It's that non-con Oklahoma. I feel like that makes it tough because
No, it's
Michigan.
all the road game. Yeah, the
I mean,
non-conference
Michigan
games.
plays Wisconsin too. Illinois plays Wisconsin. They play a lot of the
Yeah,
same
they play a lot
teams.
of the same
Maryland,
teams. That's true.
their Big
So
Ten
that's
schedule
good.
is almost the
That's
same.
a good. That's a good comp. We'll see
Yeah,
how that works out because I think we will be able to kind of like compare the resumes at the end of the year and see who's better. Like,
I wish
and
they
it
played
not
each
be like,
other.
yeah, that honestly would just settle things right there.
Because,
But
well, Illinois beat them last year, right?
I don't. I clicked off of the Illinois stuff I had open, so I don't have it their schedule from last year up. But
I'm pretty sure Illinois beat them last year. Because Michigan had like weird games.
yeah,
Like they should have lost to USC, but they beat USC. And then there was that Minnesota game where they ended up winning that at the end or something crazy like that. It was just
yeah. I don't know. I know Illinois has two offensive tackles. They feel like are day one, day two picks. Um, I don't know. I think Illinois is gonna be good in the trenches. Let's talk about a team similar to Illinois though. Indiana, another team from last year, one hit wonders, returning 18 players from last year's team. The biggest difference is they're not returning their quarterback, but they do add um, your favorite quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. Um, uh, Elijah Surratt, he comes back, one of the more dynamic wide receivers in the country, so that's a big boost. Um, as well as their running back, Hemby. I know Hemby was playing really well for them before Roman Hemby, before he got hurt. Um, or maybe it wasn't for them. Maybe he's a transfer. But regardless, I think they feel good about what they have when it comes to their weapons. I think my question is the trenches, and um, I think they returned four plus starters on the offensive line, so that should be good. That was a pretty good unit last year, and their D line was I think something that surprised a lot of us. That's not something that I really thought was going to be as good of a unit as it was. But I mean, it was good enough to play their way into the playoffs. And will they be able to match that? Is it going to be um, as good as they were last year? Well, they return a few of their top D linemen, um, so I'd assume so. I think their trenches are going to be strong again. I think this is a team that's very similar to Illinois. I think they should be kind of in the same position as last team, as last year's team, um, and I don't see why not. I think their schedule also is pretty favorable. They go on the road at Oregon and at Penn State. Um, but outside of that, you look around on their schedule. Um, they play Illinois at home, so that should be a tough one. At Iowa, who knows what Iowa's going to look like? Michigan State's their homecoming game. Again, a team that should be better, but how much better? UCLA, they should be pretty bottom tier. At Maryland, again, a team that's a little bit of a question mark. Wisconsin at home, at Purdue. So I think again, a couple coin flip games there, but they're a team that could wind up winning 10, 11 games again this year, including their bowl game. I don't think so. I think they're more of like a 9-win team, but they should be good.
yeah, I agree. I think they're gonna be solid. I gotta put them in B tier. I mean, last year was absolutely sensational for them. Um, and a lot of people were kind of disrespecting them, in my opinion, with the way they were talking about them. I mean, they lost by 10 points in the playoff game. It wasn't like they
Right.
got blown out. Like they were in the game the whole
They
time.
played
Like I
hard.
don't understand why people were acting like they should not have been in the playoffs. I think it was just off name brand because they weren't a team that we were used to seeing be successful. But no, this is a good football team. Like you said, Surratt is a really good player. Fernando Mendoza is a really good player. Like I think that this team is gonna be almost right where they left off. Like you said, I don't think they're gonna be in the playoffs, but they might be in the mix towards the end of the season. Honestly, if you're 8 or 9 win team, you could be right there. So I expect them to definitely go bowling and be a solid football team and have Kurt Signet keep building this program.
For sure. Let's switch gears here and let's discuss your buddies over in Southern California, the Trojans. Interesting team this year, man, because I think they got the talent to actually do some stuff this year, but I feel like they've always been talented. and that's kind of been the issue with USC is they just have never been able to put it together, even with what they've had. Um, I think obviously the biggest question every year with them is going to be their defense. With their offense, just returning Jaden Mayava, I think that's the quarterback, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
And then obviously very talented wide receiver corps with Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane. Also, then they brought in a Boise State transfer um, who was pretty productive for them as well. Um, but that defense, man, and the D line in specific. Now I think I almost called him Lane Kiffin. Lincoln Riley went on record and said that he believes this is probably one of his most impactful and best D lines he's had at USC to date. But is that just coach speak? Is he just saying that? And then, yeah, I don't know. So I think their offense should be fine. They're going to score points. They're going to be productive. Can their defense, like protect the leads that their offense gains? Like, can they play complementary football? And they haven't so far. So I don't know. USC is up in the air for me. I think I want to have them in the A tier. I do think they're similarly level to an Indiana, to an Illinois. I think they might even be a little bit more talented than those two teams, to be honest. Um, so I would think maybe top of B tier, A tier. Like, again, Michigan in the A tier is just throwing me way off, man. They're like a C tier team to me. That's so crazy.
See, I'm taking multiple years into account. I mean, I even
Right.
said that if it was just based
You
off
did
last
say that.
year,
You
if it
did
was
say
just
that.
based off last year, it would be C. But I think we're just not far enough removed from them being a
Right. They still
team
got
that,
dudes.
yeah, they have good players. Um, like I think that we're gonna see improvement upon last year. So, I really think that Michigan is ranked appropriately. But I also agree with you having USC in the B tier. I think they're going to be solid. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. Honestly, I think their defense is going to be better than last year because Lincoln Riley finally got rid of Alex Grinch. Um, and last year was the first year with the new coordinator. I forgot his name, but other teams was trying to poach him out of there. So like, there's clearly something there. If other people want him, and we all know that,
Deanne
when you
Tomlin.
when you get to that second year of with a coordinator, the team is used to running the scheme. You're getting more players that fit what you're trying to do, and I think they're going to be even better. I think if they could have like a top 50 ranked defense, I mean, this team could win 8 or 9 games, and they might even be in the playoffs or in the mix for the playoffs at the end of the year. We
They have
know
a
they
strong
got
schedule.
talent, huh?
Do they have a strong enough schedule for that?
I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs if they go 9-3, but I think USC has the potential to
Like they'll
maybe
be in the
even do
combo.
better than that. Yeah, like they'll be one of those teams. They do play Notre Dame. They do play Oregon. Those are the two games where they would have to really do something. I mean, other than that, I feel like they will be favored in pretty much all their games. Um, Notre Dame and Oregon are the only two teams that I feel like are probably guaranteed losses. Um, they do have to play Iowa. It is at home. They play Michigan, but I think this is a team that could end up being 10-2 and in the playoffs. So I just don't trust them to play well week in and week out. I mean, we know that they could lose a dumb game. So that's why they're in the B tier to me. But I think they're gonna be solid. I really do. I think they're gonna be improved over last year. I think Jaden Maeva is gonna be way better than Miller Moss was. Um, well, I've been a fan of Maeva since the UNLV days when he
Right.
was I think Mountain West Freshman of the Year. Um, and I was kind of nervous when we went to USC because I'm like I just didn't think USC was at the point where I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to really play for them. I didn't think they were ready to win, but I mean, who knows? Maybe this year or even the next year, that could be the year that really puts USC back on the map for real. And their schedule is pretty favorable. They start off with Missouri State, who's a new FBS team, so they're basically an FCS team. They play Georgia Southern, Purdue, Michigan State, Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Northwestern, Iowa, Oregon, UCLA. I think this could be 10-2 right here. I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, maybe. They're low key A tier,
Yeah.
which is crazy to say, but I think this is the year that Lincoln Riley finally gets that turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about Nebraska because this is a team that's been getting a lot of hype this off season, and obviously that led by Dylan Raiola, true sophomore quarterback, super duper talented, um, and is just probably going to only improve this year. I think his wide receivers and his offensive line kind of let him down a little bit last year, or maybe not let him down, but just weren't up to his level. So I'm looking to see if both of those units can improve and boost their play to match the level of their quarterback. They bring back their top slot wide receiver from last year, and they add Dane Key from Kentucky. Their offensive line obviously has had a bunch of injuries over the past, not just last year, but few seasons, if I can recall correctly. So keeping that unit healthy and getting playable depth, just in case one of those guys does go down again. Because I mean, let's be honest, when you're playing O line, when you're playing D line, those two positions are just you're just going to face some attrition throughout the year, whether that's a guy getting his ankle rolled up on in a pile or a concussion that keeps somebody out for a couple weeks. Just a lot of stuff happens where you need to have multiple linemen to truly play and compete in these um, leagues like the Big Ten, like the SEC. And I think Nebraska hasn't had that, and that's truly kept them out of that top tier. This year, do they have that? I think we will see. Maybe the people in the Nebraska camp already know the answer to that, but on a national level, I think that's something that we still need to find out. Um, and I think their front seven on defense as well. It's just genuinely pretty weak. I think their secondary is pretty strong, but again, with the defense, you need a strong front seven to help complement and make life easier for your secondary. And if a quarterback has all day to sit back there, or if they're running the ball all they want, then the secondary is not much they can really do back there. So I don't know if I'm truly really buying the Nebraska hype that a lot of people are kind of buying into this year. Again, I think they're probably going to stay around what they usually do, 8 wins. If everything goes right, I think for them they could probably get to 9 wins. I have to take a look at their schedule. I haven't seen it yet, but um, I think they'll go as far as really Dylan Raiola takes them. Um, I think if he's able to outplay a couple people and make some magic happen, they might be able to steal a couple wins. But I just don't know if I consistently see them being a complete football team throughout the year. And who knows? Maybe that offensive line does take that next step and is one of the better O lines in the Big Ten. Then yeah, I think maybe their ceiling kind of gets a little bit higher. But you got to play defense in this league as well. And they lost their defensive coordinator. I think he went over to Florida State, or was it Miami? It was one of these Florida schools. Um, they lost. Yeah, they lost him. So it'll be interesting to see what that defense does this year. I like them in the B tier because again, I think they're better than the lower level teams, but I don't really expect them to do better than they were 7-6 last year. Maybe they get like again they get 8 wins this year, 9 wins if they're lucky.
I mean, their schedule is favorable, but they're
Is
gonna
it?
have to
Talk.
play well in a lot of these games. I mean, the non-con they got Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian. They do
Oh
play
yeah.
Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, UCLA, Penn State, and Iowa. So they don't play Oregon or Ohio State,
Or Ohio State,
but a lot of these teams are going to be tough to beat, like Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan State.
Penn
I
State.
think those are going to be games that are almost coin flips. So, and Michigan as well. So Nebraska's going to have to play really hard week in and week out. And, we know about the narrative with the one score games and things like that. Like, I just wonder if they lose one or two of these games in similar fashion, that it continues to derail their season. I think a lot of the media is hyping them because of the 3 year jump that Matt Rule usually takes when coaching a team, but this is also a different era than the Baylor days and the Temple days, and this is a different league than the Big 12 and the American. So I just think that it's going to be tougher. Um, I mean, are Nebraska fans disappointed by an 8-4 type of season? Because I mean, there would be an improvement over last year, but it's still not where they want to be. Like, I think they want to be in the playoffs. I think they want to be competing for national championships, but they're nowhere near that. So I really don't know what to think about this team. I feel like right now we got to put them in C tier because they've been struggling to go bowling. I mean, what they you said last year they went 7 and 6.
7-6. Yeah.
So right now they got to be in the C tier for me.
All right. Let's talk about another team, a team that we actually really like to talk about on this podcast, or love to not talk about, depending on the year. Iowa. New year, new Iowa. All the murmur has been they finally got a quarterback. They should have an offense that doesn't look like it's the 1930s, but I mean, that's something I got to see to believe. You know what I mean? Like, and they lose Caleb Johnson, their star running back, to the NFL. I just think Iowa's just going to be more of the same. I think their defense is going to be great, as it usually is. They'll have a strong D line, a strong secondary, strong linebacking unit. And then on offense, run the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust and pray that their quarterback can complete 10, 10 passes, 55% completion percentage or so. I don't know. I'm I feel the same as I always do on Iowa. I'm interested to see this quarterback, Mark Gronkowski. I think obviously if their offense does take a step, um, then they can be a contender in this league. I mean, Iowa's defense, Iowa in general, even when they have a trash offense, they win, 9 games, and sometimes they used to go back to the old Big Ten championship when they were in the West and the East and all that. So, but yeah, I don't know. Think anything's gonna change with Iowa?
Maybe, but you still gotta respect what they've done as a program. So I gotta put them in the B tier. They've made the conference title multiple times in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
Even with their horrible style of play, they figure out how to win games. Like, if they have a quarterback, I think this is going to be a dangerous team. I don't know if they make the playoffs or anything like that, but again, I feel like they're always going to crank out 8, 9 win seasons. They beat everybody who they're supposed to beat for the most part. So I got to respect that. And until I see something else, I'm going to put them in the B tier. I mean, they've just had so much sustained success. I mean, their coach has been there since the 90s,
Right.
and he's been able to keep them at a really high level throughout different eras. The BCS era, the 14 playoff era, now 12-team playoff era. They're still Iowa. They're still a tough team, and I just gotta respect that.
Yeah. Iowa is Iowa. That's one thing that seems to ring true, year in and year out. Another team that likes to always play to their identity is Minnesota. Um, Under PJ Fleck, we just kind of have learned to, or learned what to expect from Minnesota. Just strong offensive line, run game, quarterback that can keep the team's head above water. This year, though, I think that changes where they're going to start a redshirt freshman at quarterback. Um, I think his name, let's see, Drake Lindsay. Yeah. I know people are saying that he has a higher ceiling than what they've had in the past at Minnesota, but obviously he's inexperienced. He's young. So we'll see. But 6'5", 230, big guy. It'll be interesting to see what they can get done But obviously, I think the star of the show on the offensive side of the ball is going to be Darius Taylor, one of the top running backs in the conference. He's returning. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I really have much expectations for Minnesota. They're kind of one of those teams that are like in purgatory, where like they're
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put them in C tier. I feel like they're a
yeah,
fringe bowl team. They usually have, maybe one or two good players every now and then, like right now with Coy Perrick, but I don't really see them being a threat to anybody.
yeah. I think their defensive line is going to be improved. They brought in a couple of transfers, and they believe that they have about two or three NFL prospects on the D line. Again, their O line is usually strong. They should be able to run the ball. So I think run the ball, stop the run, two things they always do. So again, I agree. I think they'll be bowling, and depending on their schedule, can they push for 8 wins, 9 wins at Cal? Um, is really their biggest non-con opponent. They get Rutgers at home, at Ohio State, Purdue, Nebraska at home, at Iowa, Michigan State at home. Then they go at Oregon, at Northwestern Wisconsin. So at Ohio State and at Oregon, you can pretty much chalk up as two automatic L's for Minnesota. But outside of that, it's kind of common theme here with some of these teams. They have pretty favorable schedules um, for the most part. Let's keep it going. Let's talk about Washington, where the Damon Williams era officially begins. Um, I think Washington is a team that should really be improved um, under what's his face, Jed Fish. I think we saw what he was able to do at Arizona and the turnaround he was able to produce there. I think he's just one of those coaches that needs a couple of years to get his guys in to get his program installed. And yeah, I think this Washington team is going to be a good team this year. I mean, Jordan Coleman returning for his senior year, great running back there. Seems like Washington is another team that usually always finds talent out there at the wide receiver position. Um, I think the offensive line is going to be much improved from what it was last year. I mean, they just gave up a bunch of sacks, and I just don't think that's going to be a repeat performance from their offensive line. I think they're going to be much more sturdy in the pass protection. Obviously, Damon Williams can move around a little bit if they aren't as uh, as good as we hope. So that should kind of take some of the pressure off of them when it comes to just giving up sacks and just um, giving him time because he's able to extend their plays and all that. But um, their D line too. I know the D line really didn't get a lot of pressure last year, um, so I'm expecting the D line to improve this year and get those sack numbers up. Um, outside of that, I think, like I said, I think Washington's a pretty solid team. I'd have to look at their schedule. Haven't checked it out yet. Um, Being non-biased, what do you think of Washington this year? Because I know you know a little bit about this team, as they're your rivals, so you probably keep up with them a little bit more than I do.
I think they are going to um, be a solid team this year. I feel like they're going to be better than last year. I think last year, they go 6-6. I think they have a chance to really be like an 8 or 9 win team. So I'm gonna have to see. It's tough, and I had this dilemma a little bit with Michigan as well, where we're going into year two of a head coach, and last year was underwhelming, but the year before that they were really good. Um, so I'm gonna have to put them in the B tier just because I think going being consistent with how I did Michigan and kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think Washington has a chance to have a really good season this year. I mean, Demond Williams is real talented. Um, I think Jeff Fish is a good coach too. Like
Yeah, he is.
I don't we saw what he did at Arizona, kind of building them up to being a good team. Um, so I think Washington is going to be better this year. I'm trying to look at their schedule. I mean, non-con, Colorado State, UC Davis, and the Apple Cup. with Wazoo. Um, they play Ohio State and of course Oregon. But other than that, I'm like, are there any games where it's a for sure loss? I mean, Maryland, Rutgers goes to Seattle this year, so I don't. I think they win that.
Right.
I don't think Rutgers is winning that in Seattle. They go to Michigan, which is gonna be tough. They got Illinois at home, Wisconsin on the road, Purdue, UCLA, and then they finish with Oregon. I feel like there's 9 wins in here, man. Maybe like if
I
they play well, I feel like there's 9 wins in here. There's definitely 8 in there. I mean, Illinois could be a coin flip. Michigan could be tough. They're definitely losing to Ohio State and Oregon, but I mean, I'm not really worried about Wisconsin, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, Maryland. Like, I'm not worried about any of those teams. And then, of course, I'm not worried about the non-con at all.
yeah. Um, I think Washington might surprise some folks. Let's talk about Wisconsin, Luke Fickle and the boys. What a new look, especially on the offense side of the ball. Billy Edwards, he comes in from Maryland. They also bring in a new offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes, who was a finalist for the Burrows Award, which is the top assistant as he was the offensive coordinator um, for BYU back in 2020 and Baylor in 2021. He was the offensive coordinator at Kansas last year. Um, yeah, I think Wisconsin kind of similar to a lot of these Big Ten teams, team that wants to be strong up front, run the ball. Um, I think they should have much stronger quarterback play this year. Um, I think their offensive line in specific is going to be another top unit. They return 3 starters, and all 3 of those guys are probably Big Ten caliber guys, um, at least in the mind of Luke Fickle and the camp at Wisconsin. Um, their D line should be super physical. Their front seven in general should be super physical and solid as they return. Um, a lot of people up. Let me see. Let me see. No, they add in 8 transfers on the D line, and they return a bunch of linebackers. That's the unit that returns a bunch of people, as well as the secondary returns 4 starters, or brings in 4 transfers who were starters. Um, yeah, I don't know. Wisconsin obviously disappointed last year, going 5-7, and I think just how horrible that offense was a key contributor. I don't think they're D tier though. I do think bringing in a quarterback like Billy Edwards should definitely add a boost to that offense. I do think they're going to get bowl eligibility. Um, I just think, let's see, their schedule's just tough. They get Alabama and at Alabama in the non-con week 3. They go at Michigan. They get Ohio State at home, but still got to play Ohio State. Still got to play Iowa at home. At Oregon, they get Washington at home. At Indiana, tough game. They play Illinois and at Minnesota. So that is just a brutal schedule.
I don't think they're going
Um,
bowling. I'm
when
gonna
you
put
look at
them
the
in the
schedule,
C
it's tough.
tier. I'm gonna put them
Right.
in the C tier for now. Put them in the bottom of C tier, but I really don't think they're going bowling, bro.
That is the
Like you
schedule.
said, because a lot of these games that we might look at for a different team is like for sure wins. They not winning them. Like they might lose to Maryland. We don't know what Maryland's gonna be like. I mean, they got 2 wins in Miami of Ohio and Middle Tennessee State, but they go to Alabama, lost. Maryland's a toss up. Michigan's probably a loss in the big house. They play Iowa at home, but that's probably a loss. Um, Ohio State, Oregon lost. Washington lost. Indiana lost. Illinois. I feel like that's a loss too. Minnesota. I think Minnesota's gonna be better than Wisconsin. Like I feel like Minnesota's for sure gonna go bowling. Wisconsin might have a freaking 3-9 season, man.
I mean, maybe it's
I mean, are they
they
really gonna
definitely.
beat Illinois,
I mean,
Washington, Indiana?
I don't know. Those are all good teams.
They're gonna
So
have to be win like 3 games like that, which I don't. 4 games. They have to win 4 conference games, but they're not beating Alabama. I don't think
yeah,
they're winning
no, they're
four
not
Big
beating
Ten
Alabama.
games. So we're gonna put them in the C for now. But honestly, I think next year they're gonna be looking for a new coach.
Wow, Luke Fickle on the hot seat already.
I mean, it's been abysmal every year. This is the third year, and I feel like if they don't see any type of improvement, I mean, is he even gonna make it through October with this schedule? You know, like Michigan, like they gotta go to the big house. They play Ohio State and Oregon back to back, and Washington. Like this month is crazy. Month and a half, really. Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, and then they finish off with Minnesota, that which is not a gimme. They could lose like 6 games in a row, bro.
Yeah, I mean they might wind up being D tier again.
I wonder, did we put them in D tier last year? We gotta start comparing to our previous years.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, man, I don't. It
All
just
right, let's put
sucks
them in D tier.
because
Yeah,
this is.
they're a D tier team.
You want to put them in D tier? I mean,
Yeah.
when's the last time they went bowling?
Yeah.
It just sucks because this is not the Wisconsin we grew up with. Like,
No, it's not.
we grew up watching them in Rose Bowls, Big Ten championships
Right.
with the
They
legendary
were
running backs they had. Oh
exactly.
my
Even
goodness.
recently, when they Braylon Allen a couple years ago, like
Yeah.
it's been a sad fall from grace for that team. Let's talk about Rutgers though. Our Scarlet Knights, um, New Jersey's finest. You know, I think this is honestly the best team Shiano's had since he's been back here at Rutgers these past 6 years. They returned 16 starters. Ethan Kaliakmanis, um, he should continue to improve. Best quarterback they've had here at Rutgers in a while. Obviously, that's relative to Rutgers. While he's not that great of a quarterback, he's still capable. The running back room is going to be solid. They added C.J. Campbell out of the transfer portal from FAU. Um, Raymond returns, Benjamin returns, so they'll be strong there. Offensive, defensive line should be strong as usual as well. At the receiver position, they finally got a little bit of dynamic playmakers out there now. They also added DT Sheffield from North Texas and Colin Weber from Charlotte, so that should definitely be a better unit. I really like this Rutgers team, honestly. I just think the problem is similar to Wisconsin. They just have a murderer's row schedule, and that's kind of like why last year we talked so highly about Rutgers, and we really wanted them to kind of take advantage of that schedule from last year and get those 8, maybe 9 wins, and they kind of just fumbled it when they were so close. They were so close,
Yeah.
and they just fumbled
It
it.
was
Now
close.
this year, at Minnesota, at Washington to open up. Um, or Iowa at home, at Minnesota, at Washington to open up Big Ten play. Then you get Oregon at home for homecoming, which we will be there in attendance for. So make sure you guys pull up if you're in that area for that game. Then they go at Purdue, at Illinois, um, Maryland at home before they end the year with a brutal 2 game stretch at Ohio State and then Penn State at home. So as much as I want these guys to be up there in that B tier and be like, yeah, maybe Rutgers, it's just hard. It's just hard to see now. They start the year Ohio, Miami, Ohio, and then Norfolk State, so they can catch 3 wins right there. They could beat Maryland. They could beat Purdue. So that's 5 wins. So they really do just have to find a win to get to that bowl eligibility. So I do think they're like a C tier team at worst. But I think their roster is better than where they're going to end up. It's just
They
unfortunate
gotta
that
be Minnesota.
yeah they got to beat
They
Minnesota.
gotta be Minnesota. If they lose that game, I don't think they're going bowling because I don't think they're beating Washington this year. Like I said,
Hmm.
Oregon, Illinois, Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, no.
That's
It
tough.
would be funny though if they beat Illinois
It
because
would be.
that
I
would
mean,
that would push my agenda.
and look, excuse my French. Actually, I won't say it, but F Penn State. So Rutgers will always be turned up for
You
that
can say
game.
fuck Penn State, bro.
Yeah, fuck Penn State. That'll be that'll be the last game of the year. Probably a blackout. It'll be jumping. I doubt it. I doubt they beat any of these powerhouse teams. But They get Oregon at home as well for homecoming. So, but yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
that's
If it,
homecoming.
yeah, that's homecoming. So it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be
Oh,
wild.
I'm gonna be there. It's gonna be my
Yeah,
homecoming.
yeah, we're gonna be there. We definitely gonna be there. Gonna tailgate it up. Maybe we could figure out to do like a live episode or something. That'd be dope. But I kind of just also want to enjoy the tailgate in the
Yeah,
game. So
I'm with that too.
um, we'll see. We'll talk about it. We got plenty of time. That's October 18th. So it's my birthday weekend or the weekend before my birthday. So that'll be dope.
Definitely.
Um, but yeah, C tier. Again, in my heart,
Yeah,
they're B tier, but it's kind of hard to do. It's kind of hard to do
yeah.
any more than that.
But I will say this: I feel better about Rutgers going bowling than Wisconsin. Like
Yeah, me too.
Wisconsin, their schedule is worse than Rutgers. Their schedule is worse.
Yeah. Um, let's talk about Michigan State, a team that we kind of teased talking about a couple times so far in the show. A team that we hope to be much improved. Obviously, Jonathan Smith did a great job building Oregon State from pretty much scratch, from nothing, into a Power 12, not Power 12, into a Pac 12 pretty much title contender a few times there. But obviously, taking over Michigan State now, being in the Big Ten, it's a totally different ballpark, a totally different game. And we saw that last year as they definitely struggled a bit. But now they get Aiden Childs, pretty talented quarterback, in his second year as a starter. I think their offensive line should be much improved, which should also lead to more production from their running back room. I mean, their top three running backs combined had just 1,100 yards last year. For like that's not gonna cut it in the Big Ten. And now again, a lot of that is because of the offensive line. They bring in a first team Conference USA wide receiver, a second team All MAC wide receiver, a first team All Conference D2 wide receiver as well. So try to load up that wide receiver room with talent to try to help out um, Aiden Childs. I know Nick Marsh is a guy they really like. Um, I know he's pretty productive. I think he was at Nebraska. No, that wasn't him. That was Christian McCray. That was at Nebraska for them. The Nick Marsh, I think, is homegrown, but I don't know for sure. Um, as for their defense, I don't know too much about their defense. I know last year they just didn't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Their sack number, their pressure numbers were not there. Um, so I know they'll be looking to improve that this year. Um, again, I don't know much about the rest of their defense. For Michigan State, they're a team again that I think just needs to continue to recruit, stack talent. I think in order to do that, you have to win some games. Take a look at their schedule, see if they can win some games. They start off with a very manageable out of conference schedule. Western Michigan and Boston College, two programs that are not slouch programs at all. Those are two solid programs in their own right. So two tough games right off the rip for Michigan State, but they get both of those games at home. But then they open up the Big Ten with two tough road games at USC, at Nebraska, before coming home to play UCLA for homecoming. Then they travel at Indiana, Michigan at home, at Minnesota before a bye week, and then a stretch to end the year with Penn State at home, at Iowa, and then Maryland in a neutral site. So it's a bit of a tough schedule there for Michigan State. They avoid Oregon, they avoid Ohio State, which helps, but you still have road trips to USC, Nebraska, Indiana, and Minnesota, and Iowa at that. So that's five tough road games. Maybe they get two or three wins out of those five. They win those three out of conference games right there. That puts them at 5 or 6 wins right there, and they get to that bowl eligibility. But it's an uphill battle for sure, even with a schedule that doesn't feature Ohio State and Oregon. So that should just kind of tell you the kind of talent that this team has currently. But they won 5-7 last year. They maybe played better than a lot of people expected them to be. I think a lot of people thought they were only going to win 2 or 3 games, and see them at 5 wins. All they got to do is improve +1 to get to that C tier bowl eligibility. So I'm okay with putting them at the bottom of the C tier, to be honest.
Yeah, I I agree with that as well. I don't think they're losing to Boston College again this year. So I think got them going 3-0 in the non-con. They play Western Michigan and Youngstown State. Um, I mean USC, Nebraska, UCLA, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Penn State, Iowa, Maryland. I mean, if they just beat UCLA, Minnesota, and Maryland, I feel like they going bowling and they can maybe even get to 7 by beating Nebraska because we know that Nebraska ain't no powerhouse and it is in Nebraska, so that's going to be tough. I don't see them beating USC. Um, Indiana might be a little bit of a toss, not a toss up, but I feel like Michigan might be able to pull. Michigan State might be able to pull that off. I mean, we know Jonathan Smith is a good coach, um, so I think there's more wiggle room on this schedule in terms of going bowling for Michigan State as well. They should get improvement out of their quarterback, Aiden Childs. He was, I think he was a redshirt freshman last year playing. Um, Definitely went through those growing pains, but he plays better, takes care of the football. We know their defense is going to be pretty good. Just don't let games get out of hand. If you keep it close, I think this team is going to go bowling, man.
Okay, I like that take, to be honest. Again, I think they're just coached well. I think just because we don't know doesn't mean they don't have it, right? Like it's preseason. We're not Michigan State fans. We're not Michigan State beat reporters. So maybe they feel good about and they have guys that are really going to take that next step and be enough to get them, like you said, to that seven wins, maybe 8 wins, depending on how they play. Things can happen. And again, we saw them play above their level last year. So they've done it before. Let's talk about another team that was very close to bowl eligibility last year, but just missed out on it. That's UCLA. This year, the big storyline, obviously, is Nico Iamaleava. Did I say it right?
No,
Yeah,
but it's okay. Um,
I am. I'm never gonna say his name right, bro. Um, Obviously, Deshaun Foster now in his what second year, third year.
Second
New
year.
new offensive coordinator Tony Sunseri. Um, I don't know UCLA. I feel like their trenches aren't really up to par. Um, and when you have a quarterback like Nico, you want to keep him upright. You want to keep him protected. You want to be able to give him time. And I'm a little bit nervous that if UCLA is going to be able to do that. Um, I know Deshaun Foster feels like they finally have the right size kind of athletes now on that O line, but having the frame and being a good player doesn't necessarily correlate. Now they weren't completely tragic last year, right? Like Ethan Garbers, like he did have a couple good games, um, and I think Nico is the same. It's probably better than Ethan Garbers was. So I think he should still be able to, you know, play well. But um, how well is UCLA going to play as a whole if their offensive line is just an okay unit? Same for the defensive line. They really need somebody to step up to take that next step. I think that unit is going to be just the defense in general is going to be okay. I expect them to be probably the strength of that team, if anything. But um, I think their offense is a little bit of a question mark. We don't know what it's going to look like with Nico coming into town. That he could vastly improve them, or they could it could be a lot of the same from last year. What do you think about UCLA? I think they're a pretty interesting team to watch this year.
um, it's hard for me because I want to put them in D tier because they were just terrible. But I feel like this is more of a C tier team. I mean, they had 5-7 year one with Deshaun Foster. They were never that bad with Chip Kelly, really. Maybe till that last year. So I might have to still keep them in D tier, but I feel like they're gonna go bowling this year. So maybe put them at the top of D tier.
Yeah, they got a tough schedule. I'm looking at it. Non-con, Utah, and at UNLV. Even New Mexico is a team that shouldn't beat them, but plays good for their level. At Northwestern, that shouldn't really be much. I mean, they're UCLA at this point. I'm not gonna say they're better than anybody, but then they get Penn State at home, at Michigan State, Maryland at home, at Indiana. Then they close out with a four-game stretch of Nebraska, at Ohio State, Washington, and at USC. So I don't know if I see a bowl game in their future.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because they're gonna have to beat somebody like Indiana, Nebraska, Washington, USC, like because they're not beating Ohio State. They're not beating Penn State, but I mean they're another one of these teams where these games are not guaranteed wins, like Indiana, Nebraska, Washington, USC. I think all those teams are better. Maybe they beat Michigan State, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Um,
So I
this
gotta keep
next,
them in D tier for now.
I'm keeping them in D tier, yeah. And this next team is gonna join them right along in D tier, Northwestern.
Man, these last teams is all gonna be in D tier.
Yeah,
They all
Northwestern
ass.
and Purdue. We don't even really got to talk about. I know Northwestern added
Bro.
Preston Stone from SMU, right? Isn't that where he was from?
Yeah, but
But
but remember he
he's
lost
not
the
no
job
good.
to Kevin Jennings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and other than that, I'm not gonna even sit here and act like I know anything more about Northwestern. I don't even know if Northwestern has fans. Like they do, like the people that went to the university, like are, But outside of them, like I don't know if they have a following. Like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like if people even care about football at Northwestern, like isn't that
I
like
mean,
a
Maryland too
smart
is
school,
like
like a law school or something?
their Northwestern is. I don't know what their specialty is, but I know they're a heavy academic school.
Yeah, they're an academic
It's
school, so
hard
you
to
know
get
what I
in there.
mean.
Same with Purdue.
Yeah, those like these schools don't really give a damn about being good about football. So why spend the time really talking about them?
Even like Maryland, like ever since Talia Tagovailoa left, it's just kind of went downhill.
I
So
like their coach Mike Loxley, but
I think it's just so hard to win there.
which I find a little bit confusing because I feel like Maryland, Virginia, like North Carolina, where they are, West Virginia, that's a bit of Pennsylvania. That's a bit of a recruiting hotbed. Like there's a lot of talent in that general Maryland uh, outreach. Like in their radius. So they should be a school that's able to like get guys that are talented. But I know a lot of the guys that are from that area just decide to leave and go to the Alabamas, go to the Cals and the Floridas and the Miamis and the Ohio States and the Oregon. So it's hard to keep those guys home, but I think that's what Maryland really needs to have a focus on. I think Coach Loxley is a good recruiter and a good representation of what Maryland wants to have as their head coach, but I really think they need like an elite recruiter. I think if they can get a lot of those guys to stay home, they could be a strong team. I mean, you could say that about a lot of schools, but I think they are at a geographical advantage to a school like Wisconsin, a school like Purdue, and they should be better than them, but they're not. And again, like you said, it makes you scratch your head. So yeah, again, not going to spend much time talking about those bottom teams. We can kind of wrap it up there with our Big Ten tier list. Um, do you have a clown of the week, Steph?
Yeah, I do actually.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Just as a quick reminder, in the S tier, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. In the A tier, we have Michigan and USC. In the B tier, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa. In the C tier, Nebraska, Minnesota, Rutgers, Michigan State. In the D tier, UCLA, Wisconsin, uh, Northwestern, Purdue, Maryland. Um, let's go ahead, go to everybody's favorite segment, Clown of the Week. Play the music. All right, Steph. It is Clown of the Week. Who is your clown?
Man, I thought it was appropriate since we're doing a Big Ten episode that the clown of the week be the Big Ten. I don't know if we really talked about that playoff proposal that came out a few days ago, but they proposed like a 2014 playoff. It's
Oh yeah.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, do we really have to get into why that's ridiculous? Like, I just gotta point that out that that's some clownery. Um, you know, I've always been a playoff guy, but there's got to be a limit to everything, man. We can't have a 2014 playoff unless y'all trying to get rid of conference championships, shorten the season. Like I don't understand what they think they're doing by proposing something. Like, are y'all gonna change the whole calendar around the sport so that we're not playing playoff games in the championship in mid-January? Because it's just dumb. Like, we don't need 24 teams in the playoffs, man. We don't need to see all the 8-4 teams in the playoffs that should got no right to be there. They're not gonna go far. Um, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like when Eli Drinkowitz came out and said that there should be more teams in the playoffs because only 10% of the sport goes to the playoff is in the playoffs. Like, dude, first of all, you could just slash the whole G5 and it's not 10% anymore because the G5, yeah, there's a G5 team that makes it, but 99% of the G5 is not even in contention for a playoff spot. I've been saying this for years that the G5 should have their own playoff because the chances of them actually winning a national championship is low, like super low. Even Boise State was probably the best chance. I mean, and as a program, they've done legendary things like the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. But look what that took. That took a hook and ladder against Oklahoma as time was expiring to win that game. Like, it's not like they just come out here and punch people in the face and win the game. So, you got to respect Boise State for what they've done as a program over time. But, like, quite frankly, the G5 should not even be in the same playoff as the power teams. And it's fine at 12. Honestly, like, I even back in the day was saying it should be like a 16-team playoff. I'm going to be honest, I think it's cool at 12. Like, I don't think it needs to go up anymore. I have a feeling it's going to go up to 14 or 16, but I don't think it needs to go up anymore because the teams that aren't making it at 12, to me, they don't deserve to be in there. You got 9-3 teams saying that they deserve to be in the playoffs. No, you don't. If you win your regular season games, then you will be in the playoffs. Like, I even feel the same way about pro sports, like the NFL expanding the playoffs. No, it should be an accomplishment to make the playoffs. You should not have teams with a losing record making the NFL playoffs. Even if you have a 500 record, in my opinion, you should not be in the playoffs. Period. I don't like seeing 8-8 teams in the playoffs back when they had 16 games. Like, yeah, you could still win your division and have an 8-8 record, even 7-9. We've seen it before back in the day. But that should not be the case. There should not be teams, wild card teams with crazy records in the playoffs. You should be 9, 10, 11 plus wins in the playoffs in the NFL. And I feel the same way about college. Like, 12-team playoffs, yeah, you should be a 10-2 at least type of team to be in the playoffs. Like, 12-team playoff to me just replaces like the old BCS bowl system. Like, if all those BCS bowls were just playoff games, like, those were all the best teams in the country. Period. So I don't understand why we need so many teams in the playoffs to make some of y'all feel better. Like, Mizzou, y'all were never gonna be in there. Mizzou ain't been nothing but disappointing people since the beginning of time. 2023, they were supposed to be in there, didn't make it. 2024, they had all those people returning, couldn't even make the 12 team. Now you just want people to expand the playoffs so you could be in there going 8-4. No, that's not how it works. We don't give rewards for going 8-4. And these are the same people that want to complain about participation trophies and stuff for children nowadays. But to me, this sounds like some participation trophy nonsense. losing 3, 4 games and getting a playoff spot, that sounds ridiculous to me. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
it's
not
not
in
the
favor of
pros.
it. I know you're not in favor of it.
You know, I'm definitely
Everybody
not.
online was basically trashing it. So
Yeah, and it's just my whole point always. And I will admit that last year I still enjoyed the Saturdays, and they were still very intense days. And I think, for example, Florida played in two really high state games, Ole Miss and LSU, where we wound up knocking both of them kind of out of the playoff picture. So I think my whole argument was that it kind of dilutes the regular season, kind of like what you were just talking about. It just makes Saturdays less special, and I think that's kind of what the allure of college football was, that any given Saturday could be the biggest game of the season. And now, when you're able to lose these 2, 3 games and still have a chance at not only your conference championship but the playoffs, the national championship, it just feels a little whack. But I think we are right where we're at is fine. It would just be really ridiculous to expand it. And like you mentioned, it, all those people, oh well, we want more teams in the playoff just means we're gonna get the true champion. Well, we get the those games in the regular season. Win the games you're supposed to, and it all will work out. So yeah, keep it where it is. I don't want to see it expanded anymore. If they add two more teams or something like that, I guess it wouldn't kill me, but I would rather them just keep it where it is, or honestly take a couple teams away. I'm in favor of the 4 teams, um, but yeah,
I'd rather have the BCS than 14. But I feel like this year is going to be even better with the straight seeding instead
with the
of the
no
conference
seeding,
champs.
right?
Just
Correct.
getting the top four. It's just going to be the top four best teams get the top four. Yeah, conference champs still get in, but it doesn't give you a automatic bye. So I think this year is going to work out better, and I think it's going to be fun, man. But that 2014 stuff, yeah, I want to do that. Then shorten the season to 10 games because it's getting ridiculous.
Well, all right. We will close out the show here. We appreciate everybody for tapping into our 2025 tier list series. One of my favorite things that we do every year. Um, Next episode, we will be making all of our conference championship predictions, which will then lead into our playoff predictions. Might talk a little bit about who we believe could potentially win the Heisman, or things of that nature. Just we'll have a little fun prediction show, and then we will also talk about the games for week 0. I think there's about 5 games. I think there's only like 3 FBS games or 3 D1 games or something like that. I think one of the games is a ranked game, which will be cool to talk about. But yeah, man, we will be back to our pretty much regular scheduled or regular scheduling after this next episode. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And yeah, season on Saturday. Super excited for that. So until then, we will catch you guys next time. Peace.